This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. The Cleveland Browns are a program. And here is what I mean when I say that the Cleveland Browns have developed themselves into a program. Now, this is terminology that we're used to hearing when we refer to college football teams. We call Alabama a program. We call Ohio State a program. You know, any university that's been able to achieve long-term success. And now the Browns haven't gotten to the long-term success part of that plan, but they've gotten all of the foundational building blocks down to become what we would refer to in the NFL as a stable organization. And I want to point out why that's important, because when emotions are high and people want, you know, somebody fired or held accountable for whatever they feel like is going wrong on the football field, the first thing we go to is fire the coach. Now, there's usually two different reactions to fire the coach. There's people who want to fire the coach because they're mad, they want the coach fired. And there's people who don't want the coach fired because they recognize that that's been one of the tropes that the franchise has fallen into, that has kept them mediocre. And that's usually responded to by somebody who wants to fire the coach with a saying that I kind of think is silly. And that's, you can't just have continuity for continuity's sake, right? That's what a lot of people's go back is. And I always like to say this: bad habits have the best excuses, right? That's why they exist. Like, if you are looking for an excuse-free bad habit, like, it's not going to happen. It wouldn't be a bad habit. But bad habits have the best excuses. And to people who want to fire the coach, you know, people could point out the years and the decades of doing this over and over again and not working, how other teams have operated in our division and how that's been much more superior than what the Cleveland Browns have put out on the football field over the last 20 years. You could point all that out, but they'll just say, hey, man, continuity for continuity's sake can't be done. Are you telling me we should have kept Freddie Kitchens for 20 years just because we didn't want to fire a coach? Again, bad habits have great excuses. It's why they exist, right? You know what I mean? Like, that's the crux to it. Bad habits always have great excuses. And that works in football, it works in life. You know what I mean? If you got a bad habit going on in life, you know you got a good excuse for it. Doesn't mean you should keep doing it, right? But you probably have a good excuse. That's why the bad habit has gone on as long as it has, because, again, bad habits have great excuses. Doesn't mean that you should still live by those excuses. And here's why I think stability has been important for this Cleveland Browns team, will continue to be important for this Cleveland Browns team, and is the reason why a team that's gone through as much turmoil as this Browns team has been able to conjure up a we've seen in this generation. You take the great players away from Bill Belichick, you have a very mediocre football team. You put Bill Belichick with great players, you have a good football team. Bill Belichick isn't going to make or break your Super Bowl chances. The only one position that can make or break by itself your Super Bowl chances is quarterback. That's a player. It's more about the players. It's more about who you have on the roster than it is about the coaches. So I don't believe that you need some coach who never makes bad decisions and he's the greatest coach of all time in order to get to a Super Bowl. I just think you need good enough, like Zach Taylor, good enough. And that's what you need in order to maintain stability in a franchise, because I think it's more important that you just have a coach who's competent there than searching for the greatest coach that you could possibly find, because what you get with competence is important. You get stability with competence. And what that brings you is aid. What I mean by aid, it helps you build out the rest of your roster. The Browns this year have players who have been on this team since 2020, a ton of them. You look at the offense, just off the top of my head, Jed Wills, Jack Conklin, Nick Chubb hurt for the season, same as Jack Conklin. You also have Kareem Hunt back on the team, David Njoku, he's been on the team for a minute. They've moved in and out of wide receiver a lot over the last few years. Quarterback, obviously, they've moved in and out of quarterback since 2020. But defensively, you got Miles, you got Denzel, you have Taki. You've been here for a minute. I believe AWalk. No, BJ Goodson was here in 2020, not AWalk. AWalk came here in 2021. And they moved around at safety, and for obvious reasons, they moved pieces around on the defensive line. But you have a lot of players who have been on this team for a very long time, right? Joe Bitonio. I can't believe I forgot about Joe Bitonio. But you have a lot of players who have been on this roster a long time, which means that you have a core for the first time since coming back in expansion. You have an actual core of not just veteran leadership, but veteran leadership in this system, right? Like you have a actual infrastructure of leadership of guys who have been doing this on this team in this organization for a very long time, so that it helps you. This is what I mean by aid. It helps you when it comes to bringing in rookies or new players. Because instead of everybody learning everything at the same time, which is what the Browns have been doing pre-2017 or pre-2020, it's not that. It's some people learning stuff, but a lot of people there to support them. Okay, you're new to Berea. Let me show you around. I've been here for a while. Oh, okay, you're new to this offense. Let me show you what this, that. Kevin likes to do that. We like to call it like that. This is how the game day operation can go. Like that kind of stuff is the small bits and pieces of support. You want to know why teams like Baltimore and Pittsburgh before 2020, especially when it comes to the Cleveland Browns, like they had this huge gap of talent all the time, despite the fact that the Browns were drafting consistently in the top 10 of the draft for like 20 years. You want to know why there's a difference, or why there was such a difference in that era of level of talent, despite the fact that they've been drafting behind us? Stability. Why does stability matter when it comes to drafting players? Well, think about it like this. When you draft the player, you are saying, I have a vision for this guy in the first round. I have a development plan for this guy. We're going to spread this out over 4 years. We're going to get this player to this part of the program, and then he going to become this. This is the plan. And when you have a plan for somebody, odds are things work out. But what happens with the Browns when they fire coaches and GMs every third year is that the plan keep changing, right? 1 year the plan is to do this, but now somebody got hurt. I'm worried about losing my job. I'm going to accelerate the plan. And then I get fired. Somebody else comes in. They don't got a plan for you. All of a sudden, that player just doesn't develop. Look at the guys on the fringes of this roster. I've mentioned one, right? Anthony Walker, Taki, Grant Delpit's a great example with this. Guys who maybe went back and forth with the plan before they were on the Browns or before Andrew Berry got here. They got a plan, and now they've turned into really productive players. The Browns' ability to go next man up is a key factor in this team's ability to be 7-3 right now. You know why the Browns can go next man up as good as they've been able to go next man up this year? Kind of like the other teams in the division have been able to do in previous years. They have stability. They bring in Garyon Christian. They have 2-3 veteran tackles on their offensive line. Well, not veteran tackles, but veteran offensive linemen on that line to be like, all right, Garyon, this is all we need you to do. Look, we don't have to plug in somebody at left tackle before in this offense. Here's what we about to do. Here's what we going to slide in. That's what we're going to do with you, man. And that makes the plan very easy. It makes it very easy for somebody like Garyon Christian to have success at left tackle. Same thing goes to right tackle. Jack Conklin goes down for the year. We put in DeJuan Jones. We're like, all right, DeJuan, here's the plan. This is what we've done before. We did this with James when Jack went out before. We'll just do this with you. Come on in, plug in right here. And then DeJuan goes out. We're going to do the same thing with James. James, you done did this before. You done had to step in at right tackle. You know what to do. Boom. We're not missing steps here. We're not trying to reacclimate somebody and get them all involved. And if we do, we have significantly more support to get people in the right positions. Same thing at quarterback. The quarterback play hasn't been great, but Deshaun Watson goes down. Y'all put in PJ Walker. Okay, cool. We can go create a plan for that. And then PJ Walker, Deshaun comes back. He goes out for the year. We got to put in DTR. We going to put in the Jacoby Brissett plan, right? We don't got to search and try to create something new. We're like, all right, we'll just go back to what worked in 2021. We'll throw this thing short. We'll get first downs. We'll move the ball like that. We're going to go back to 2021. Stability matters. It matters so much more than how great you think a coach is. Now, if that coach is not competent, right, then he should not stay. But as long as a coach is competent, the stability is more important. You think Mike Tomlin walked in there was the greatest head coach of all time when he walked in with the Steelers? Or do you think that he went through some growing pains in Pittsburgh, but they just went through it because it was like, at the end of the day, I believe this man to be competent. Same thing with John Harbaugh. Raven fans complain about John Harbaugh all the time. But at the end of the day, he's competent, so they keep him because they know that the stability is more important than trying to max out your coaching stats, right? Like, that's just not as important as people think. It's about the stability. It matters for rookies. It matters for vets. It matters for next man up situations. It matters. And I hope that this season has put that through everybody's head on why stability is important. You need to be stable with your coaching staff. You need to be stable with your front office if you want a shot at having consistent success in the NFL. You look at Super Bowl champions, you look at some of the best teams in the NFL, stability always follows those teams. That's what it's about. You can't keep firing coaches. You can't keep firing GMs all willy-nilly and expect a result different than what you've gotten. You know why teams were expansion teams after the Browns, before the Browns, were able to figure it out before the Browns? Browns never figured out that they just need to be stable. Pick somebody, hang through the tough times, ride it out. That's what they did with Kevin, and it's paid off. That's my thoughts. That's why I think this Browns team is a sign of so much more good fortune for the Browns in the future. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Y'all have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.